My name is Ratan, and this is your 15th pre-class video on Java. Today we will discuss about how to handle the files in Java, what is input-output stream in Java, and most importantly, what is a serialization. So let's get started. So first we are going to talk about the file. There is a one class called file class is there inside the java.io package, java.io package. So this file class is basically used to know the characteristics of something present in the hard disk. Something present in the hard disk might be your what file, might be your particular folder. So we need to know the, if you want to know the characteristics or which kind of thing is that, or if you want to do manipulation over that, you can use this file class. So this class has many functionality using which we can identify the features of a file or folder, that is your directory, present in a given location. So this is a way how we create the file object. So if I create this way, a file object, first of all, I need to import that one from IO package. File class belongs to IO package. And here, now, if you create like object like this, it doesn't mean that we have created a particular file. So the above line will not create a new physical file if the abc.txt file is there in the current location. If it is in the current location, is already exist in the current folder, then F will point to the already existing file. If the file is not there, F will represent simply the file name of the file. So if I simply print that, you can give the file name if you just give as it is. So it will going to create that in a current location. That means inside this where the main.java is there, the same location it will going to create abc.txt. But if I want to give the proper location, let's say the d://, so inside the D drive, it will gonna create this abc.txt. So right now in my D drive, there is no any abc.txt file is there. Let me show that. So in my computer, the D drive, there is no any file. All are the folders are there. All folders are there. So I'm gonna, if I try to print system.out.println f, now what will happen? It will not show any kind of error or nothing will be there. Simply it will print the name of this file. So let's run this and see that it will simply print d://abc.txt like that. Now, if I just write here system.out.println, that is f dot, this file class has lots of method, like let's say that exist. So if this file is exist or not, if I click on that, right now it will show that false. That means this file is not there. Now, if I want to create this file, whatever in this constructor you have represented. So here ABC is print the name of that particular file and exist, it will return the false. Now, if I want to create that particular file location, then we have to use create new file. That means now f dot, there is a method called create new file. This method throws the checked exception. So you have to handle this one, either try catch block, or you can simply write here what throws exception. So put the cursor and add exception to the signature. So it throws IO exception. So now, and now if I just write like this, system.out.println, and here f.exist, this time it will return true because now file is created. Remember, I have given this location. Remember, if this location is not there, suppose that in your computer D drive is not there, then this method will throw an exception. This method will gonna throw a particular exception. Right now in my system, the D drive is there. So if I run the program, I will get that first time false, next time it will print the true, and one physical file will be created in the memory by name abc.txt. Let me show that. In the D drive, there is a abc.txt. Right now it is an empty file. Later we can perform some operation, we can read some data, we can write some data to this particular file. Now, if the file is already there, instead of creating a new file, it will point to the existing file only. That means this create new file method, if this file is already there, it will just create, that means it will not, because the return type of this method is what, let's say that the return type is boolean. So if this file is already there, it will return false, otherwise it will return true. But if the desired specified directory is not there, that time it will throw an exception. So in order to create a particular file like that, we have we can check out that if the file is already there. So you can like write like that. If this file is already there, you can print what the file is already there. Otherwise, so I'm writing like that. If f dot create new file, if it returns true, that means what? File is created or new file is created. Else, if it returns false, that means file is already there. Let's run the file and once again and check out that. So file is already there. But if I give the another name, so abc.2.txt, this time this file was not there, so it will simply print file is created like that. Now this file object you can represent folder also. With this file object you can represent the folder also like this. So you can create a particular folder and you can to create this folder you have to use this mkdir folder. So if I want to create a particular folder, let's say that I'm creating that folder here d:// my new folder or directory. Okay, now you have to use simply mkdir. So this time folder will be created, else folder is already there. Let's see that whether it is working or not. So if I run the program, and you'll see the output here, folder is created. Folder is created, and that means one physical folder is created here, that is my new folder. You can see that at the bottom. Now if I run this one once again, it will not gonna create a particular folder. That means folder is already there. So that means this file object you can represent the folder as well. There are some constructors are there, like in this file class you can pass this file name with the full path, relative path or absolute path. Relative path in the sense, what is that? If I just give what here abc.txt or this folder, so this current folder will be created in the same file, same folder. That means where this main.java is there at the same location. So if I run the file once again and see here, you can observe there is file one, that means my folder. Let me check where it is. That is my new folder is created over here. So in the current location in that particular application where this main.java is there, where this folder will be created in the current location. So this is called relative path. But if I give the previous one, that is called absolute path. That means from the current location, you are giving the entire location. That means on which path you want to specify. If I give that one without that one, relative path, that means where the file is there in which drive, relative to that one folder, you have to create that. Now, next thing is that these are the constructor. You can pass the file name. You can pass a particular parent directory, and then on which directory you want to create a file. That directory you can also represent using file also. Using also file also you can represent that particular directory. So parent directory and your file name. Parent directory can be represented by the either a string, either another file object. Now there are some methods are there in the file. Some of them have already used that exist method mkdir. We have used that. Even create new file we have used. But some of the methods like that, if you want to check is it a file or is it a folder, you have this type of methods are there. Now there are two other methods like that. List method, it will return out. That means on a particular folder, how many files and folders are there. It will gonna return that. It will list out all the files and folders present in the specified directory in the form of a string array. Return type is a string array. That means only file name without the path will be printed. But the another method is there, list files. If you call that one, it will do the similar kind of thing, but it will return in the form of file array. That means the file names with the full path will be returned. Let me show that one. And this is the method. What is that? Length, to give out on a particular file how many characters are there in a particular file. But with the folder, this method will not gonna work. Now this get method to display that name of a particular file. So these are the few methods are there. Let me check out that this difference between this list and list files. So if I want to list out all the files and the folders in my D drive or on a particular folder. So let's say that in a D drive, how many files and folders are there? So file f is equal to new file, and I want to list out all the files and folders in my D drive. So I can call f dot first list method. It will gonna return in the form of string array str. And if I print this one, so system.out.println, or let's take a for loop string s colon str. So it will gonna print all the files and folders present in the D drive. So see here, that means these are the all the files and folders. Even your hidden files also will be visible over here. So these two are the files. So you can see that only names are coming, not the exact path. But if I just use instead of list files, this time it will return the file array. Let's say that files, and here I'm printing that file colon files. And print each file. This time you can notice it will print that entire location as well. That means the path also it will gonna show that in the help of file object. So let's see that. Actually, I need to place a semicolon here. That's fine. And you will notice that output will be, so D drive and that entire file location is there. That means it is coming with the file object. So this is the file object, and previous example was the simply file names. Here also, if you want to, you can access that file dot get name. Now you're going to get the exact name of the particular file. It will return that is string. So let's run that. And here the name of the particular file as well as folders. Now I have written one example here. What this is the what get the all the file present in the D drive. So if I want to get only the files, I don't want to print the folders. So what to do? You can write like this: if file is file, then only print that. Otherwise, don't print. So this way you can print only the files present in the D drive or a particular folder. So I have only two files are there in this D drive. Similarly, if I just use is directory, it will print what? All the folders. Now there's a one here, one example. This is a very interesting one. Let me show that. I'm gonna create this my new folder. Inside that, I'm creating one particular file. Let's say that new file a1.txt, and inside that I'm gonna create one another folder. Let's say that folder B, and in the B folder, I'm creating one file called b1.txt, and same time I'm gonna create one folder that is C, and in the C I'm creating one another file called c1.txt. Now my requirement is that from this folder, my new folder and its subfolders or nested folders, I need all the files I need that one. That means I need to print a1, b1.txt, a1.txt, and c1.txt. All the files I need from the nested to nested files. All the files on which level it is there, I want that. So for that one, that means accessing the files from directory and subdirectory. I have written one program that will gonna use that one by using recursion. So what I have done, let me just copy this method, and then I will explain that what I have done in this method. This is the method. And here, so there is a method called read all files. It will take a file object, that means from which folder recursively you want to collect all the details. So this is the, from this folder, I'm calling list file. So it will return all the files and folder from that particular folder. And I'm iterating over that with the for loop, and I'm checking. If it is a directory, call this method once again. Call this method once again. If it is not a directory, then return the file name. Return the file name. So this method will call recursively, and it will just gonna print all the file names. Now simply from the main method, what to do? From this current location, that is my current location is, that is my new folder. Copy this, and this is in a D drive, my new folder. This is my current location. I need to access the file, and let's call the your method. So this method is what? Read all files. So just pass that read all files and pass this F. Pass this F. Now run the program and see that whether it's working or not. So here a1.txt, b1.txt, c1.txt. I'm able to access all the files recursively from the nested table of loops. Now the next concept is what? IO stream. IO stream, it is not your what? Your normal stream API, whatever we have discussed, which came in Java 1.8. It is entirely different concept. IO stream, that is input output stream. That means input output stream is saying that what? It is continuous flow of data from one place to another place. Stream means what? Continuous flow of data. In Java stream API, we have seen that that is also data, but that is an object, stream of object. But here, flow of normal data from one place to another place. Here, flow of data is in between what? Programs and peripherals, like devices or network, whatever you want to transfer your data. Now, the data transfer to be done, first of all the data should be represented to its low-level equivalent. That is either in the form of byte, which is 8-bit, or in the form of character, either 16-bit. That means whatever the data is there, if you want to transfer from one place to another place, you have to represent in the form of low-level equivalent, either 8-bit or 16-bit. Depending upon this representation of data, the classes in the java.io package, all the classes, most of the classes of IO streams related to IO package. So IO package categorized in what? Classified into two categories. One is a byte oriented classes. Second one is a character oriented classes. So most of the classes of IO package divided into two categories: byte oriented classes, character oriented classes. Now these two types of classes further divided into two categories. One is what? Classes using which we can read the data, classes using which we can write the data. In that one, there are four classes: input stream, output stream, reader, and writer. Input stream class is a super class of all the classes using which we can read the data in the form of byte oriented class. Output stream class is a super class of all the classes using which we can write the data in the form of byte. Similarly, reader class is a super class of all the classes using which we can read the data in the form of character. Writer class is a super class of all the classes using which we can write the data in the form of character. These four classes, input stream, output stream, this is the byte oriented class. Reader and writer is a character oriented class. All these four classes are the abstract class. All these four classes are the abstract class. You cannot create the object of them directly. There are some child classes are there, which object you are allowed to create. And based on that child class object, you can perform all input output operations. Now, as a convention, if the last part of a particular class is a stream, then we can assume it is a byte oriented class. And if it is a reader or writer, then we can assume it is a character oriented class. Let's say that file input stream, file output stream, print stream. So these are called what? These are called file. Just hold one sec. So as a convention, we have seen that here what whenever the last of a class is a reader or writer, it is assumed that it is a character oriented class, or if it is a stream, that means file input stream, file output stream, object input stream, object output stream, then it is a byte oriented class. It is not always 100% true, but as a convention, we can consider like that. Now, there are some hierarchy I have created for you. That means which is the byte oriented class and which is the character oriented class. Let me show that this is the hierarchy. So most of the classes in java.io package, why I have written the most of the classes? Because file class, whatever we have seen, it doesn't come into this category in a stream class category. So here there is a character oriented class, it is a byte oriented class. In that one, top of order, that means reader and writer. Both are what? Super class, using which you can read the data, using which you can write the data. So reader class for reading the character oriented data, writer class to write the character oriented data to a particular file. Similarly, input stream, output stream, it is a byte oriented classes, and there are some concrete classes are there. These are reader, writer, input stream, output stream. They are the abstract class, and these are the concrete class like file reader, which is having one layer more. That means input stream reader, buffer reader, file writer, buffered writer, and print writer. This is a child of writer class. Similarly, in a byte oriented class, file input stream, file output stream, and object input stream, object output stream. So these are the some category, and we have categorized in this hierarchy. Now let's see that we are going to talk about first file reader, file writer, character oriented classes. Then after buffer reader, buffer writer, and in a byte oriented classes, you can use with the file input stream and file output stream any byte oriented classes like any image file, audio file, video file, and using this object input and object output stream, you can read and write some character byte oriented classes like that. Object data, object also is called what? Byte oriented classes. We can read and write with that. So let's move on and see here the first class is, that is first class, file writer class. File writer class, by using this class we can write character data to a file. There are two constructors. Either you can pass the file name using the string, or you can pass the file name using the file object as a file object. There is another type of constructor. There you need to pass the boolean. That means boolean flag, either true or false. That means this file will be in the appending mode or not. Appending mode means we are going to talk in a moment. Now there are some methods in the file writer class like write, pass a particular integer character. So if you just passed here any integer value, it will gonna write that single character to a particular file. And if you want to write multiple characters in the character array, you can take the string. So there are multiple write methods are there. Now there is a flush method. Flush method, what it will do, it will give the guarantee that last character of the data also added to the file. And then close method to close the particular file writer. File writer is one type of resource. So you should close that resource once operation is done. Now, the main limitation of this file writer is what? While writing the data in a file, we need to insert a line separation manually. This line separation will be \n or \r/n. It will totally depend upon different type of operating system. So if you are using the another operating system, some operating system uses \n, some operating system uses \r/n. So by using that, you can write the file. So let me show that one example of this file writer. So imagine I'm going to write some data to a particular file. So I'm going to create here one file writer class object. So file writer. Let me clean slate for first. And here there is file writer. Fw is equal to new file writer. And here I'm giving the file name, that is, let's say that in a D drive /abc.txt. Now, if this file is not there, this file writer constructor will create a new file. But remember, this directory must be there. It will throw an exception. So I need to throw that exception over here like that. Now, if I'm going to use fw.write, and if I just write here what 100, so what we are going to do that, let me just write that system.out.println. Here I'm printing done. So save this file and run the file and see that whether it is doing or not. Right now in the D drive, I don't have abc.txt, but if I run that, it should print done here. So it is done. And now you can check in this abc.txt is created. abc.txt is created. And if you open that this file right now, you won't see anything. You won't see anything because you are trying to write 100 over that. But since it is 100 is one character might be there in somewhere in the buffer. So we need to do the flush here. Dot flush. This flush method give the guarantee that last character is also returned to the file. And now fw dot close. And if I run it once again, so what will happen? Let's see that. So this I have written the 100. What it will gonna do that it will write that in your file as a ASCII character of this 100. That means ASCII character of this 100, that is D, small d will be printed over here. Now, if I run this file once again, what will happen? Previous file will be deleted. That means previous again this C, that means the D value of this ASCII value will be overwritten. If I need that, it should be persisted. Then I need to give here what? Boolean flag. That is true. If I make this true, then if I write it once again D and D will be appended over that the last character. This is the way you can write the writer. You can use not a single character. You can write even a particular string as well. So let's say that I'm writing 100, and then after I'm writing fw dot write. Let's say welcome. Now, if I run this file, you will see that it is done. And now, since I have used the flag, and now if I open this abc.txt, so here previous content was there and D and welcome. You have seen that there is no any line separation. In order to add the line separation, we need to add it manually. So if from after that, let me just remove this true. So it will previous thing will be overwritten. And now if I want the right line separation, though for line separation, we have to write this character fw dot write, and here that is backslash n. Some operating system use backslash n, some operating system uses that backslash r backslash. Now if I run this program once again, and this time you will see that there will be one line separation is there. So now abc.txt, okay, it's not like that. Let me, this is the not front slash, this is the backslash like this. So backslash n, and now if I run this one, and now you can check D and one line separation is there. This is the file writer. Similarly, we have file reader. File reader, we can read that particular file from the character. That means a file one by one character. So there is a method called int read. So it will gonna, this method, read method will attempt to read the next character from the file, and it returns the value, Unicode or ASCII value it will return. So if you have a ABC in the file, and if you try to read, so it will return 97, 98. And if it will reaches to the last character of the file or end of the file, it will return -1. So essentially it will, if you just read that one, it will work like this. First 97, 98, 99 and -1, it will gonna return that. There is another method. That means if you want to read, that means you need to pass character array. It attempts to read. It attempts to read the enough character from the file to the char array and return the number of character copied. By using this, you can read the data from the file one by one. So let's say that I want to read that file. I want to read a particular file from the, or any file if I want to read that. So let's say that in my file abc.txt, I have n number of contents are there. N number of contents are there. I want to read that in my program. So what I need to do, save this file, and I want to read that. So first of all, instead of file reader writer, I need to use file reader. File reader fr is equal to new file reader, and then I need to write this data. So first of all, what I need to do, fr dot read. It will just gonna read that first character in the form of integer. It will return that in a form of integer. So first character from the file is being read. And now I'm taking an infinite loop, not infinite loop. I'm taking a loop, while loop, I not equal to -1. So if I is not equal to -1, till that one, print this value. Print this value, that is I. And here I'm gonna use here what? After printing that, read the next character. That is load that next value to from this file, fr.read. Now, if I run this file, what I'm gonna see that every time each character, whatever I've written, that ASCII value will be printed. That ASCII value will be printed, and it is a println, so it will come each character one by one, line by line. It will gonna come that. You can see here. ASCII value for each character is coming line by line. So instead of println, I'm gonna use print method, and this I'm gonna downcast over here what as a char, converting that to the this int to that particular character. And here I'm using that print method. So if I run this file, what will happen? Let's see that I'm able to read all the files, all the particular file data. That means here is my all the data from that particular file in the console. So from the file, I'm able to read the data in my particular program. Now there is a one problem with this type of approach. Here file reader will gonna read character by character. So it is not up to the mark of as a performance wise, if you see that one, because every time for reading one character from a file and coming to your program, this is not a efficient way to reading a data. That is a problem with what? File reader. That means it will gonna read character by one, character by character. That is not up to the mark as a performance level. So for to solve this problem of file reader, and what is the problem with the file writer? That is what? Line separation. So to solve this problem, we have a buffer reader class. We have a buffer reader and buffer writer class. So buffer reader, first let's talk about the buffer writer. It is used to write the character data in a file, and it has a particular method called new line for a particular line separation. Remember, this buffer reader never communicates with the file directly. It always communicates with some writer object. So you need to take that file writer object, and that writer object we need to chain through the buffered writer. And then you can write, you can either use this approach, either you can use this approach to create a buffer writer object, that is in a constructor, pass the file writer, and then pass this file. So you cannot pass file name directly to this buffer writer constructor. And by using that, you can write the data to the file. All the methods are similar to the file writer, but one new method is there, that is new line. If you use this new line to insert a new line separator, this new line method is a operating system independent. Operating system independent, that means for each operating system, you need not worry about that it is using \n or \r. Similar to that one, buffer reader is there. Buffer reader, you can also communicate this buffer reader using file reader. That means it will also work as a file reader. And from the file reader, you can, all the methods are same, but here the method, there is a one method support called read line. This will gonna attempt to read the next line from the file, and if this line is not available, then it will return the null value. So instead of reading character by character, you have the option of reading line by line. Line by line, you can read the data. So what you can do, let's say that instead of file reader, I'm gonna use buffered reader. So buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader, and pass here what? Fr. That means this file reader. Remember, your buffer reader never communicate to the file directly. It has to communicate through any other reader object. So you need to pass that buffer reader object as a constructor. Now, if you want to read this data, you need not go for character by character and convert that integer to character. Simply, you can use, let's say that a string line is equal to br dot read line. And now while line not equal to null, simply what to do? System.out.println line, and line is equal to br dot read line. By this way, you can read this data line by line. That means line by line, all this file will be written in your program. So it will give relatively faster performance than your previous approach, whether we have can read the data one by one character, and here each line by line we are reading that one. So this is the buffer reader and buffered writer. Similar to that one, we have another class print writer, using which we can write the data in the form of primitives as well. Buffered reader, buffer writer, and file writer, you can just write the data in the form of a string only, string. But here, this is the most enhanced writer, and you can write the data using what? That means you have the write method also, you have print method and println method also there. So there is a difference between what, if you use the write method 100, it will write the ASCII character in the file. But if you use the print method 100, it will just write your 100. That means print the primitive data as well. So with the help of print writer, you have a support of what? Use the primitive data. That means use the primitive data as well. You need to write that one. So there is another concept in file IO stream, that is how to write the object data. For that one, we have a concept of serialization. Serialization. Before serialization, we have in Java, we have a java.nio package. NIO package, in that there is a one another sub package called file package. In that some classes are there and some files are there, using which you can read the data, write the data, and represent the file in much more efficient way. In a live class, we are going to discuss about that one. Now, next thing is that there is a concept of serialization, using which you can write the byte oriented data. That means you can write your object to a file, or you can serialize your object. Serialize your object. Remember, object always created in the RAM, and from the RAM, if you want to transfer that object outside the RAM, that means if you want to serialize in the byte stream, maybe from you want to save that object in a database, or if you want to save that object in a file, then you can use the concept of serialization. To serialization, there is a two classes. What is that? Object output stream. To serialize, to write your object to a, or serialize your object to a particular place, location, or to a particular destination. And there is an object input stream, using which you can read that object back from your file or from somewhere else to your program. These two classes basically used to serialize and deserialize the object. And to serialize and deserialize the object, there's one interface called serializable. Serializable. You have to implement this. The class object which you want to serialize, that class should implement this serializable interface. Then only that object will be eligible for serialization. So that's it for this pre-class. All this remaining concept, we are going to see that in a live session. Thank you for watching.